Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. But we are joined by returning and friend of the podcast, Adam Aniba of the Band G Report. How you doing tonight, Adam?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely, Adam. First thing I have to talk to you about is a recent acquisition by the Washington football team, one that went under the radar. Not that many were expecting for them to go after a second cornerback after signing William Jackson the third. They went and signed Daryl Roberts, the cornerback, who is a vet in the league. What do you think he brings to the Washington football team defense?
I think right now it would be easy to say, it would be him and Danny Johnson, perhaps, battling out. Because I think Moreland, to me, I think it's his job to lose at the slot. And I think that you have Jackson and Fuller. Fuller's going to be a guy we see drop into coverage more and more. So we still have an open position for the outside. I don't know if he's going to fill that. I think right now he's more of a camp guy. I expect them to probably go corner. Probably before round 4, believe it or not, because I think there's some talent available. I'm still going through those guys, but I find it hard to believe that they'll wait till like day 3 to go that way. So right now, I think it's good depth, but I wouldn't count on them too much about, making any kind of final roster right now.
Watch Paulson Adebo from Stanford. Let me know what you think of him.
Definitely. It's all game, but that's all so far. Dude's fast.
So another acquisition, obviously, that's been made recently was the signing of Adam Humphries. I know you are very, very familiar with Adam Humphries. So tell me, how do you think he fits into this Washington offense?
Just from, I think a lot of fans have just been really focused that, they're stat box guys, watchers, and looking at what he's done the last 2 years and how many games he's missed. And that's fair. It's a fair knock that, durability is a concern. But also look at his career before that. Most importantly, look at his time in Tampa Bay with Fitzpatrick. That guy was his bailout guy. Was at 880 plus yards. I think it was 6 touchdowns around that mark right there.
His most productive season.
And everyone says that they probably wouldn't have targeted Humphries if they hadn't seen the connection with Fitzpatrick. So I like that. That tells me our department, our scouting department, is putting in the work, not just for draft guys, for agents, but connections. And I actually just had an article that came out. We're talking about Samuels they brought in, national championship with McLaurin back in OSU, and then now they're bringing in Humphries to go along with Fitzpatrick. So the chemistry that they're building right now, they have a clear message. They wanted to get some veterans in the room. So now, I'm a draft guy, and I think now we head into the draft where they're really going to solidify this roster. But, you talk about Roberts, it's more depth guys, but this team is going to continue to go young and go fast. And I think we saw that in free agency. And although Humphrey is definitely not in that 4-3, even 4-4 range at this point in his career, man, the guy is a good underneath receiver. They can move from the slot to the outside. I like what he can bring. Do you want to count on it for more than that? No, that's why they gave him a 1-year deal. And I think you go into the draft, there's honestly 4 or 5 guys I can name that could probably beat him out in camp. So to have a guy like that as your 4th, 5th guy, man, that's a luxury. So I'm really happy with the direction they're going.
Right. And that could really open things up more for Curtis Samuel, allow them to use him in a more variety of ways. So I think it's a plus.
Yeah, exactly. And Reed just mentioned Curtis Samuels. You mentioned Fitzpatrick. You obviously, Kyle mentioned Will Jackson. A lot of additions made in free agency this offseason. So sticking to the offensive side of the ball, where do you kind of see this offense kind of growing into with under Scott Turner now that we got the weapons on the outside and kind of a little bit more balance with Gibson in the backfield?
Right. And, and what I've been talking about is mimicking that Air Coryell hybrid system. That's exactly what Turner's going to try to do. And I think last year we saw it. But, let's be honest, fellas, like Cam Sims, I like him. I like him as, maybe a 50-50 guy, just like AGG could be. Right. But really what they want to do is really, get some burners on the field, spread the field out, have some underneath stuff. And that's why when you bring in Samuels and these guys, they're not typical slot guys. They can line up in the backfield. They can take handoffs. They can do everything. So when you continue to go on, you look at the draft, what is the strength as far as day 1 all the way to day 3? It's wide receiver. You can see guys in 4th, 5th round this year that can honestly come in. I'll give you a name that I love, Jalen Darden. I've mentioned him before. He was number 2 in the nation behind Devontae Smith. So these are guys, that can come in and produce right away in this kind of system, because what it throws itself out to is guys being able to come in, run the motions, run the spreads. Everyone's like, becoming a wide receiver in the NFL is a hard transition. But if you're doing a lot of college concepts, which, that's what Turner's injecting into this Air Coryell system, is a lot more college concepts, a lot more motions. So when you have receivers coming in with that, like Darden, they're going to ask him to do 2 or 3 routes. Man, this guy's a star. So if you can get that kind of production from a day 3 guy with the receivers that you already have, that's why I'm excited. When you hear people say they've addressed the slot, people don't know. And you know what? Honestly, I don't even know, because I don't think we're going to see traditional slots in this offense. And, from going receiver, we're going to go to tight end, because Logan Thomas is awesome, but they're going to get another tight end that's going to be able to move around a lot more than him, because I think he's valuable as an inline blocker as well. So if you get a flex guy, I like Brevin Jordan, Miami, there's a lot you can do in the draft, and you can pretty much get this offense to another level, before you even get to, your 3rd or 4th pick in this draft. So I'm excited.
Now, today, Justin Fields ran a 4.440. It's blowing everyone wide open. He tried to do the replica of Zach Wilson's throw. He looked really good. Now, barring any of that, what positions do you want to see addressed at the 19th pick for the Washington football team?
Right. And I think with the trade ups, we saw that any hope in quarterback is out the window. I think we could possibly see quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, because someone's going to probably either, trade up to that spot or not. But, and then fifth quarterback, is probably going to go in the top 10 to 15 too. So with me, I think that by addressing wide receiver, I think Washington can push that to, possibly the 3rd, even 4th round, because you have middle linebackers, you have offensive linemen, I'm a guy, Zavon Collins is my favorite guy in this draft. I think out of everybody, people think I'm propping him up too high. I don't do comps, but he's Urlacher, man. This guy is same story, same kind of school, same tweener guy, but this guy's 6'5", 260, running a 4.5, and I honestly think that he could run faster than that, because I've seen the tape.
Right.
So
if he goes down in weight, without a doubt, he played at 260. You're absolutely right.
And damn well he's not going to play at that. He's going to come in, and I think the more realistic is 240, and that's why I have him at a Mike. Everyone talks about him as an outside. I like that, in early downs, but in 3rd down, you drop that guy in coverage. He had 4 picks last year. He took 2 to the house. Both game winners.
Yeah,
one was a 97-yarder, end of the game. The other was to seal the game. Man. This is ballers. That's why Fitzpatrick is balled in. These people are closers. He's a closer. So that's my number 1 guy. But everyone's saying defense has been overdone, but I think you have an opportunity to really solidify that with a middle linebacker. But if not, you can trade back. There's options at safety. There's options. I like Daryl, Virginia Tech offensive line, but I think he might go early. So it's really going to be BPA and who falls to them, because there's just so much talent that I think anything could happen.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned a few different positions there that the Washington could look at. What is your most overlooked position that you think Washington could address early in the draft?
Tight end.
Tight end. Okay.
It's easy to me, because not 1st round, because, we're talking about Kyle Pitts. To me, it's him than everybody else. Okay. Right. So, Brevin Jordan, Pat Fryermuth from PSU. He did have some shoulder surgery, but I'm not really worried about it. They were calling him Baby Gronk, but it really propelled him higher than he should. He's a late 2nd, probably more likely 3rd. I love Brevin Jordan at 51. People say it's a little early, but man, 51. This guy was lining up in the backfield of Miami. Tell me that's not a Turner guy. So if you can somehow pull that off, and like I said, Zavon Collins, Brevin Jordan, after that it's gravy, guys. You can just love that. You can go BPA for every pick in my opinion. But in all honesty, after you address those, to me, man, try to get that offensive line fixed, because I think you have the talent on defense that you can play with who you have after those picks. But offense, you just need to keep building that line, because Fitzpatrick can make some magic, as we know. But, man, they got to really give him some time. And I think the whole thing with, Brandon, I don't expect him here long. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets hurt. So I hope they address it. David Moore, small school, Grambling is a guy I love. He'll be available in the, 4th, 5th round. So they have to address those needs at that day 3 range.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the Christian Darrisaw pick. I think that to go from Chris Samuels to Trent Williams to a guy like Darrisaw, we'd be locked up at left tackle for decade after decade after decade. But sticking on the defensive side of the ball, I know a lot of people are talking about we need to get another safety, pair him up with Cam Curl. Obviously, you still have Landon Collins in the mix. Could you see them maybe going after a guy like Trey Boston, who obviously is familiar with Ron Rivera, the Carolina systems, played under Ron Rivera, knows what he wants out of the defense? Or could you see them addressing that in the draft?
I reached out to everyone I know. Doc Walker's a guy. He's always been great to me. He was on the tribute show. My dad passed away, and he's always been a guy that says, hit me up with anything. And him and everyone else have been saying the same thing, which is they want to go to the draft and see what happens from there. And I do think Boston was specifically brought up, and I heard Rivera did say they want to see the draft. So I think if they bypass that position, I don't see it happening. Boston could be in the mix, and I think he could be in the mix either way, because I think Apke's out of the picture, and I think you have DeShazer Everett, Collins, and Curl right now. So, and I think you have some open positions, and I think Fuller is also a guy, like we said, that can jump back in sub packages. Richie Grant and Morrig from TC are my two favorites. 19 might be a little too rich for that. But again, if we're talking about trade backs, second round, even, which I don't see him making there, those are two safeties right there that come and change your team. So I think you're finding game changers all over. So at 19, a lot of people think that's late. Man, you have some blue chip game changers that will be available.
Now, Adam, earlier you had made a comment about the first 5 quarterbacks being taken in this draft, and most likely Washington is not going to be able to be within range to get one of those guys. Now, the other two that are brought up constantly is Kellan Monde and Davis Mills. If you could pin one another against each other, which one are you going with?
Well, Monde is going to go a lot earlier, even though I still view him as, and I have all year, even after the Senior Bowl, more of that fifth round guy, even though a lot of people are talking the fringe second, third now. Mills is developmental. We're talking about 6th, 7th round, in my opinion. He just doesn't have enough production at all. And he's a smart guy and one of the most highly coveted high school quarterbacks coming out in the state. So if you want to pin him, I think that Monde, you'd probably go with him. But again, if I'm Washington, you have so many needs and so many guys that are going to have higher value in that 3rd round range, which is where I see him getting picked. So, go if you're going to do it, go with Mills in the 7th. He's available. But I think the way it's set up right now with Fitzpatrick, Heineke, and Allen, I think that's what we're going to roll with, because I have heard some grumblings. I'm going to have an article about it with Stephen Montez, about them doing some Taysom Hill-like things. It could be just smoke. Who knows? But, man, I wrote an article about that before a long time ago, and I could see that. So I don't think you're going to add another developmental guy to that. I'm cool with it, but are you going to spend a 5th, 6th round pick for that? I don't see it. So I think, like tight end last year, it's a position that we could totally see bypass this year in the draft.
Oh, well, yeah, I could definitely see that as well. I think that they're probably comfortable with fits, and if there's not a quarterback there that they really, really, really like, there's no point in rushing it. So I'm going to step away real fast from Washington just because there's only so much going on with them. But so one big thing that happened, obviously, the San Francisco trade. There's a lot of rumors out there that San Fran is eyeing Mack Jones at number 3. If you are the 49ers, what are you doing there at number 3?
Man, there's smoke is being put out about that. Because, come on, man, it's Lance. Like, you're going to talk about Kyle has not had his guy yet, and Garoppolo was not his first choice. Kirk Cousins is who he wanted, and there was other guys in the draft, but different things shaped out, and they went defense. So I think it's Lance. I think you run that RG3 offense a lot, not all of those concepts, but I think it's very comfortable, and I think that allows you to start Lance right away. I know you have Garoppolo in there saying that, okay, they'll keep him. I see if you do Mack Jones, I could see Garoppolo playing. But if you have Lance, maybe a couple games before he plays, but he's just too athletic. So I do think it's Lance, and I think it's a lot of smoke that we're hearing, because Mack Jones, to me, he doesn't fit the mold of what the Shanahans have ever done, what Kyle is looking for. And I think he finally has a chance to grab a quarterback. Why is he going to grab the uber athletic guy? And I like him. I have, the distance between Lance and then Mack Jones and Fields, to me, is pretty big. So I think that those other two guys will get selected just because there's not enough supply for the demand. So it's Lance to the 49ers, Wilson to the Jets, and our guy from Clemson, Sunshine, to the Jaguars.
Sunshine.
That's crazy that you say that, because I think that they're going to take Justin Fields. I know a lot of people think they're going to take Justin Fields, especially after his pro day today. So
possibly.
Why Lance over Fields, in your opinion?
Again, maybe it's just projection and what I see, what Kyle likes to do. Like, I understand in Fields you probably have a little more production, but as far as if people want to go back and forth about offense and reading defenses, in the short time that I saw Lance, I think he had a better ability to do it. I think the national championship game keeps being propped up as Fields like looking better, quote unquote, reading the field, but I'm still seeing a lot of the same things, and I don't know if all of them are correctable. I think he's a really good college quarterback. I'm just not projecting him or Jones to be really excellent quarterbacks. Lance, I think he's that guy. I think he just has the it factor. And again, we can go back and forth about, lack of production, quality of competition, and, the weapons he had. K Johnson, this is a guy, his receiver, I think will go in the 5th round maybe. So what are we talking about? What did he have over there? So to me, the guy is electric, and I think not many teams he could go to and be really good right away. But I think the 49ers are just too perfect for him. If it doesn't happen, I'll be shocked, but I can see them going Fields.
Yeah. And now late in the draft, what prospects should Washington football team fans be looking out for?
Okay. I'm going to be a little heavy on the wide receivers until we get, the next 2 weeks, because I think fans, I feel it's obligation to everyone, all my readers, that listening to the national media and saying, okay, they got Humphrey, they got Samuel, move on. No way, because there's so much talent and speed. So, I'll bring up a couple guys. Diami Brown. Everyone saw the UNC Pro Day. Man, this kid's a baller. He can play slot, he can play outside. That's who I want Washington to have. Looking at just the XZ guys, I think it's a big mistake. Another guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, brother.
It's my boy.
St. Brown from the Packers. Kids from USC. Again, he's a slot weapon. These are guys we're talking about that are going to be in that probably second, might be early, but it might be worth it. We'll be there. And then we'll start to get in a little later. Elijah Moore, Dwayne Eskridge, Amari Rogers, Clemson. But a guy I'm about to have a new player card come out is Marquez Stevenson from Houston. What I keep hearing is Washington is looking for a dual threat returner, a guy that can play a position and do kick returns and punts. Marquez Stevenson from Houston, I think it was 4.33 was his unofficial time, but he's a burner. Just turn the tape. He could be faster. This guy has the ability to do exactly that for Washington, and you could find him in, I think, that 5th, 6th round range. So, you start to get close to the draft. Shi Smith, South Carolina, learned under Deebo Samuel. I had a card out him a while ago, but, I will continue to come back to, Jalen Darden from North Texas. I think that his, quote unquote, lack of speed, they have him at 4. I think it was an unofficial 4.51. But just watch the tape. He's dynamic, and I think he fits perfect what Turner wants to do. But those are just a couple prospects that I'll be having coming out soon. But, tight end, like I said, it starts with Brevin Jordan for Washington, and then we're going to start to go and look. The kid out of Boston College is one Hunter.
Yep.
There's a lot. So I'm going to have a lot of that coming. But for right now, I think we need to talk about the wide receivers and to make our way to other positions because, free agency is wrapping up. And I think once the layman fan, let's say Facebook, especially for the most part, they're just reading what, the national media is saying. They're not really talking about the other receivers that will be available for Washington, but Turner system is going to really try to implement a lot of speed this year. So the receivers, man, we just got to keep talking about them.
Yeah. But real fast, if I can just say, Amon-Ra Brown, after watching his pro day, the dude's got a fantastic physique. The guy's got a great body, he's just giant muscle.
Rondale Moore, though, Rondale Moore is the biggest freak in this.
Yeah.
In this
my God. Rondale Moore's unreal. Yeah, exactly.
But he's a top 25 pick without injuries. And then, but he's at 51, which I don't see it. I think someone will grab him back for it. Rondale Moore, what was it? A 42-inch vertical. And I think it was a 4. Crazy time. So, and he destroyed OSU. So that's a guy I love. I just don't know. The injuries do scare me, but man, that's what I mean. There's just so much depth to wide receiver. Why not talk about it for a while? And then once we get annoyed from that, we'll start to really focus on, the offensive line, which honestly, to me, there's not the greatest talent in this class. There's some depth, but I don't think you can get into the day 3 and find talent. So there's a few that we'll definitely get into at the Burgundy and Gold report. But man, right now, Washington has to just fix this offense before everything.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. So one thing I've asked this to everybody who we've had on for the last couple of weeks, but I just think it's interesting to hear people's answers. How does this offseason, Washington, they made big splashes. How does this offseason differ from past off seasons under Bruce Allen and Vinny Serrato?
I think you go into offseason for the first time and they have an identity. Maybe Greg Williams. We had an identity with LeVar Arrington and co. And, Sean Taylor. We definitely had an enforcer identity, but not like now. Even the national media is already saying this is a top 5 defense once again, and that's before they make any upgrades. But they're not going to lose anybody. Right now, a lot of people keep talking about Daron Payne, Ioannidis, Allen, how they're going to keep these guys. I think they're going to stretch this till as long as they can, and I think you're going to see maybe an insane amount of money on that side of the ball for a year or two, and then they're going to have to make the decision, or otherwise Sweat's going to be the odd man out, which I don't see happening. So it's the identity that's in a nutshell. They come into the offseason with identity, and Fitzpatrick comes in, and he should give, in my opinion, he should give fans hope, because there's a lot of people out there that are calling the turnovers a big problem. Just look at the last 16 games. He has more touchdowns, half the amount of interceptions the Washington quarterbacks in that time frame. So, I think Fitzpatrick, we're getting him at a good time in his career.
Yeah, 100% agree. I remember when I threw Fitzpatrick out there, like right after the Dolphins were talking about moving on from him. I was like,
throw us under the bus.
No, I was the only person who was like, that's 100% happening. And Hall was like, I don't want it to happen. Kyle was like, it's not going to happen. I was like,
dude, it's happening. I was like, Ryan Fitzpatrick is coming to DC.
I called it. So.
Nah, but seriously though, I forgot my question.
Oh, God.
Oh, no, I remember now. So
he's the one asking the question.
I know. So you made me forget it again, man. I don't know. Come back to me.
No, it's fine. So to wrap this up, Adam, I got one more for you. What would be your grade for Washington's free agency?
Right now, I have to give it a solid B, because I think with Samuel, you have the guy that you can move around everywhere, and you put him in the backfield. I like that idea. But I did want to see maybe them address middle linebacker and not really put it all in the draft. So right now, to me, it's all in. They have to get that. It's not a guy that, Chaz Surratt, North Carolina, I love him, but I don't think you can plug him in as a Mike day one. And they need a guy that they can plug next to Holcomb and whoever else day one. So I'll give him a B right now. If they get Zavon Collins or even Nick Bolton, somebody that's going to start in that first, second round range, I'll give this whole offseason to A+. That's how confident I am. I haven't been this confident in this team a long time, because I think they can address all those holes. But man, that's solid B, because they got they got a cornerback. They filled some holes, but that's what it is. They filled some holes that they haven't solved. The main issues. But a solid B for this team right now.
Awesome. I love that grade. That's where I'm at with him. Adam, I can't thank you enough. My condolences of the passing of your father, of course. I know that was a hard time for you. Big-time athlete. So I really appreciate you taking the time, Adam, being able to grace us with your knowledge and your wisdom of the draft and prospects in the Washington football team, brother.
Yes.
Thank you very much, man. And, again, everybody go check out the burgundyandgoldreport.com. Just released, everything we're talking about, the receivers, guys that I like coming up in the draft. But, yeah, at the burgundyandgoldreport.com. And thank you guys so much for having me on, man.
Of course, Adam. We'll talk again. We'll have you again before the draft.
LDC, guys. Take it easy.
All right, man. See ya.
All right,
yeah, everybody. If you guys want good in-depth coverage of the draft, definitely check out Adam's website.
Just remember, I remember my question too. I was going to ask him about how he
I'll answer it. Good.
All right, Reed, how do you feel about the 17-game season, and how do you think it's going to shake out for Washington facing Buffalo coming up?
Pass.
Honestly,
it's weird.
We knew it was coming, because basically the owners want to be able to get more revenue out of those 20 games. So instead of it being, just no preseason games and straight up season games, they want to at least get revenue out of it. They don't want that money going away for 4 games. So they've been wanting to chip away at. I know the 18-game schedule was even talked about at one point.
It's going to be so weird.
18 games is 100% going to happen, because I can already see
having the odd number of games.
Odd numbers of games. Teams complaining about, well, they got an extra home game. Why do we got to go on the road? We have a better record with them, but we have an awful odd number. So
that's right. I didn't even
18 eventually.
All right, I didn't even think about teams having an extra home game like that. That's going to definitely play a factor into it.
Without a doubt, it is. So before we do our first round, our first version of the NFL mock draft of the first round with fan submissions, we are going to answer some fan questions. And the first one, I'll start with you, Hall, is from Orange Crush. He says it's a silly question, but his friend wants him to get Madden. And he said he's never played it, but he says it's almost a requirement. Is if you're a big of a fan of the NFL as he is, should he go get Madden, Hall?
I would say yes, because you've never played it. So you got to, obviously, as a football fan, everyone has to experience the Madden experience at least once in their life. It's probably the best time to get it right now, because it's pretty much been a repeat for the past X amount of years. So you're probably going to get the best quality repeat version of it. So, and obviously the new rosters and everything. So I would definitely get it, but it can get tiring after a while. But I would definitely get it.
Yeah, wait for it to go on sale, Orange Crush. I'll tell you that right now. Don't spend the $60 on it. Just wait for it to go down in price before you do anything. and then just make sure that you're taking in and grasping what is exactly happening. I'm telling you, you're going to love the NFL even more once you play Madden. Look, I haven't bought Madden in years because they just when you don't have competition, there's no need to actually get better and improve. And so, like, they've spent more time in the.
I thought you were talking about yourself, like playing it. I was like, this guy.
No, ultimate. the
because when there's no competition, there's no
point. EA like spends so much time with the ultimate team aspect. Of it. It's so annoying. Dude, so you do your thing. You should go get it.
Right.
I'm not going to.
I'm a big Madden guy. I love Madden, but I will say that if this next one is not different from the last 5-6 versions, then I'm not buying. I'm just going to boycott them. But for you, I think it would be fun. It'd be good to have, because if you haven't played the previous games, you don't know that it's the exact same game, just with updated rosters. So go for it. I would definitely go for it. That's how you can learn a lot of players. That's how you can learn.
Yeah, do the fantasy draft for franchise mode. You know, you can actually go and really find out players in the league. Now, the next question is from Mel Benitez. He wants to know, everybody says the Cowboys have the best roster in the NFC East, but you could argue Washington has the best depth in most of the positions. Wouldn't Washington have the best roster if that's the case, Reed?
Washington has a better roster overall. If you look at it, Dallas has a top-level offense, bottom-level defense. Washington has a top-level defense, middle-level offense. I think Washington just has a better overall roster if you really look at it. Dallas has too many holes on defense, way too many holes. They should be in the bottom 5 teams in the league in total defense this year again. So,
yeah, now I would better. Like, I don't want to I don't want to give anybody any credit, but I would say I think we're underrating the Giants just a little bit. I think they are.
Giants are
they're constructed in a very good way. They have great offensive linemen like Will Hernandez at guard for them, Saquon Barkley there. They have their quarterback and wide receiver supporting. And then they have a good D line and some middle linebackers and some pretty good secondary guys. So I would say it's not between Dallas and Washington. I think it's between Washington and New York. And I think that is a very good argument. I would still pick Washington, obviously. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd probably put them all like 1A, 1B, just because they're all kind of similarly built, where obviously we do have a little bit more depth than Dallas. I would say the Giants are probably just on par as far as depth with us.
Yeah.
But Cowboys are pretty much more top heavy as far as offensive wise. Yeah. But like Rick said, defensive wise, they are pretty much at the bottom outside of a couple guys that make plays here and there. So yeah, it kind of evens out the rest of the pack to like us and the Giants. So like I said, just me being a Washington fan, I'm going to be biased as hell. So I'm going to say Washington has the better roster. But if I wanted to be non-biased, I'd probably put them like literally like inches apart as far as overall talent and roster goes.
Yeah. And now Andy Burrows from the UK,
Oi.
From the DC Tweet Team podcast, he wants to know our thoughts on this because it implicates the guys over in the UK. There is going to be an enhanced NFL season starting in 2022. In the beginning of 2022, all 32 clubs will play internationally at least once every 8 years. And the countries include Canada, Europe, Mexico, South America, and United Kingdom. Hall, what do you think about this?
I love it. I mean, expanding football to other countries, getting it more globally known, where obviously football over there is like soccer to us. So just getting more people involved, more fans involved. You never know. Next thing you know, it might actually start up NFL Europe again, and just like the old school Madden back in the day when you could pick like the Dragons and the Knights and all those random teams.
Yeah, that was tight.
So, yeah, that was tight. I used to like crush my brothers with those teams. But yeah, so I mean that's cool. And like I said, I loved it, and I love the international games because you get like a whole different set of a fan base. You get to see the different crowds. So I definitely love it. Love the idea.
Yeah, and them saying that each team is going to have to go at least once in 8 years. So that means they're going to have 4 international games every year. Yeah. I love it. I think it's a good idea. It kind of broadens the horizon because I know a lot of people sitting here say, well, majority of your fan base is here in America. Why would you leave? There's a lot of fan bases out in Europe. We learned that firsthand from Andy and the rest of the guys. It's crazy when we have Sergio Martin, who's a fan of our pod. He lives in Spain. It's crazy the outreach of the NFL, and I think that does need to be reciprocated because they do feel left out somewhat. I mean, Andy stays up until like 5 a.m. watching Washington games. It's ridiculous.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of Sice and the boys over in Europe and in the UK. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. And I mean, if Washington has that many fans over there, think about what other teams have, you know?
Yeah.
Think about what popular teams have.
You know? Also,
think about the Chiefs over there. Right?
Right?
Think about the Patriots. Think about the Bucks.
Patriots, not so much anymore.
No, maybe not Patriots. Think about the Cowboys, though.
Now, Orange Crush's next question for us is, What position could Washington football team draft any round this year that would piss you off the most? Better yet, what position are we most likely not to see drafted in this year in any round, excluding punter and kicker? Reed.
I'm going to go with defensive tackle just because they're 4 deep there. And I mean, defensive end for sure, linebacker for sure, secondary for sure, O-line for sure, quarterback possibility, running back possibility, wide receiver, I would imagine so. Tight end, yeah. So, I mean, I'm just going to go with defensive tackle, you know?
Yeah, it's probably the best one. That or edge rusher, you know, because I would love to see Ryan Kerrigan back here. Because them drafting an edge rusher would essentially say Kerrigan's not coming back. And I want Kerrigan back. Just to be dude, if you're going to go try to win a Super Bowl and your decision and your options are Cincinnati and here, just come back home, dude. Come on, dude. Just come back home.
Yeah, that sucks. I didn't even think
honestly, whenever I saw he was me in Cincinnati, I was like, why? Like, right. I know you want to be a starter. I know you want to play, but
they're the only people offering him anything, right?
Yeah. Come back home, baby. Come back.
Yeah.
I always like
the Rick James.
Rick
James.
The Dave Chappelle.
the Dr. Evil John, where he's like,
that was weeks ago.
Yeah.
They should have never gave y'all money. All right, so Scott Harley, thank you for the question, Orange Crush. Dude, that's the best line in that whole episode is when he's crawling away out of the room.
Funny. Yeah.
They should have never gave y'all money. It's
talking
so
about
funny.
Talking about the Murphys. Charlie Murphy.
Rest in peace to Charlie Murphy as well. Scott Harley has a long one. With the NFL Academy in London and international series games each year, what are your thoughts on the games being opened up globally? Are you for or against no judgment? And how would you grow the game and incorporate an international audience, Reed?
I like the way that they're doing it with every 8 years or so, the 4 games a season, like you said. I think that can only help the NFL expand. And as we've seen, just the NFL playing games over in Europe help bring a whole bunch of fans. So this is going to help even more. I mean, it's going to get some of the young kids involved. I like what they're doing now, starting in 2022 at least. But I like the direction that they're going, and it can only really go up from there. I mean, they can only do more. So.
Yeah, I've said it before. You know, I know they had the Euro League before, but I feel like this could actually be something legit with the NFL actually sponsoring it and following through with how it could be done. I would love a European-style league. I think that would be really, really smart for the NFL being able to grow that fan base, because I know right now you're seeing a lot of the fan base kind of crossing over the Atlantic, you know, coming over to the U.S., where if you kind of had more of the NFL sponsored games over in Europe, I think you'd have a lot more uptick because people would be going to those games and seeing it firsthand a lot more. It's more ready for them to be able to see. I think that'd be a good aspect of it. You got anything to add, Hall?
Yeah, I would just say just keep on doing what they're doing, because you've obviously seen it grow over the past couple of years, where it kind of just started in one game in London. Then it was like 2 games in London. Then it was a couple games. Then there was a game in South America, or in Mexico, I mean. So, and then obviously now they're going to Canada and a couple other places. So keep expanding it to different countries, different places, and it'll just keep going more and more global. So
why are we bringing the game to those Canucks up there?
All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
That is a slur.
Thank you so much for your fan questions. Now let's move on to the best part of this episode, our first version of the NFL first round draft. We're going to mock it. We're going to mock it to death, baby. We have the whole first round lined up for you guys. We're going to go pick by pick with fan submissions that we have for you guys. So
we're going to do a little breakdown too, right?
Yep. Without further ado, let's start this off. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's not even right. But Paul, you are on the clock at number 1. The Jacksonville Jaguars are selecting their pick. Who is going first overall, Michael Hall?
With the first pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select
Mack Jones.
Rashad Bateman. Nah, just joking. Obviously, they're going to take Trevor Lawrence. This has been the guy since pretty much coming out of high school, since his freshman year at Clemson. He's been kind of touted as the number 1 pick. Great arm, athletic, can run, can make all the throws in the field, great leader on and off the field. So definitely a guy that Jacksonville can build their new franchise with Urban Meyer. And he already has a couple of weapons out there with DJ Chark, Cracky's boy, his Jewish brother, Laviska Shenault. So,
Dude, it's such a bad joke.
Laviska Shenault.
It was funny the first time. I'm not gonna lie. It was funny the first time.
It was funny the first time, but then he said it literally every week.
By like week 7, I was like, Come on.
We get it. His
We
name
get it.
sounds Jewish.
And then obviously James Robinson being the big surprise out of the backfield last year. So they definitely got some pieces. They can get the defense back on track to at least what they almost were a couple of years ago with the Blake Bortles era. I definitely think that they're on their way, especially with pretty much the Titans and the Colts. They're not on the decline, but I would say that Titans are on the decline. They lost a lot of weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the Colts will be with Carson Wentz because we don't know what Carson Wentz will be. So it could be wide open for them to just step in there and maybe make a surprise run. So Trevor Lawrence is the guy number one. Obviously.
That offense should be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Now with the second overall pick, the New York Jets are on the clock. Yours truly is making the pick. Coming up, everyone's talking about Wilson. The New York Jets select Kyle Pitts at number 2 overall. He is the best prospect in this draft, not barring quarterback. It's sitting at 6'6", 240 pounds, 43 receptions this year, 770 yards, and 12 touchdowns in 8 games. Being the number 1 option on that offense, no defense could stop him, not even J.C. Horn, who is possibly one of the best lockdown corners in this draft. Kyle Pitts, without a doubt, is adding to this New York Jets offense where they're giving Sam Darnold 1 more year. Give him the best offense they can, adding Corey Davis with Jamison Crowder there. They're now going to add a wide receiver tight end that is dominant and could be a Pro Bowl right away. There's not that many great tight ends in the league right now. Kyle Pitts about to turn that on its face. Let's say Sam Darnold doesn't do well next year. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be in top 5, top 10 anyway, and you're going to give your next era quarterback probably the best offense off bat already. So I think Kyle Pitts, number 2 overall to the New York Jets, throwing things awry. Now we move on to the 3rd pick. The San Francisco 49ers traded up with the Miami Dolphins. What are we doing at 3, Reed?
Oh, if this happens, I'm telling you right now, Kyle Shanahan's going to turn in this card faster than anybody's ever turned in a card in human history. The only thing that might slow him down is him running up to the podium and grabbing a banana, Vaseline, duct tape, and some lawn darts just to celebrate with his family, you know?
You mean Chris Sims?
Yeah, Chris Sims seems like a good guy. He seems nice. With the 3rd pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Zach Wilson. Like I said, Kyle Shanahan is beside himself. Zach Wilson is perfect for him. He fits this new age offense or the new age of the NFL perfectly. Being able to make off-kilter throws, just being able to throw from any platform, being able to do multiple arm angles, just being creative, a backyard style quarterback, a la Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers type, he's smart. He loves the game of football. Apparently comes across kind of like an a-hole, but you know, hey, that'll be okay from your leader in the locker room. Kyle Shanahan is ecstatic. He gets his guy for a long time. He fits perfectly in this offense.
Yeah, and the second quarterback of the draft goes number 3 to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, our fan submission at the number 4 overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons, is Mike Puckett. He would like to trade back, but we didn't give that option. But look, he's going for the number 4 pick. The Atlanta Falcons are getting their quarterback of the future. They're selecting Justin Fields, quarterback out of Ohio State. They're getting their replacement for Matt Ryan. I know that he just re-signed a contract. It extended it a little bit. But this gives them the ability to have Justin Fields on the backside just in case something happens to Matt Ryan, and they can groom him ready to go once Matt Ryan is done. And I think it's a great pick from the Atlanta Falcons.
It's perfect.
Now moving to the 5th pick, this is going to be Hall with the Cincinnati Bengals. What are they going to do at 5, Hall?
Okay.
What are they going to do at 5, Hall?
Penei Sewell, offensive left tackle for the Bengals at pick number 5.
Who is it not? What offensive tackle is it not? Is it not Jackson Carman, Kyle?
No. He's blocked for Justin Herbert back in college. Obviously, he's been touted as the best left tackle. He would have been the best one coming out last year. He decided to opt out this year, prepare for the draft throughout the whole season. Definitely would have been a top 3 pick had there not been so much needy quarterbacks and people trading up. So obviously the Bengals need to protect Joe Burrow, especially coming off the injury. Best way to do it is to get the best lineman in the draft. Penei Sewell, number 5.
And that's perfect for them. I think that's a shoe-in fit if Pitts isn't there. Now moving to the 6th pick, the Miami Dolphins traded back up with the Philadelphia Eagles to take the 6th pick in the draft. And from here, I think they're taking Devontae Smith. He's the best wide receiver in this class, statistically wise, sitting at 6'1", 175 pounds, soaking wet, 117 receptions, 1,800 yards, and 23 touchdowns in 13 games this year. There is a reason why he won the Heisman. He should be the first wide receiver selected, and Tua is getting his old teammate, in Smith, bringing him into the equation, kind of make it the transition easier for Tua. And that's why it makes a lot of sense that they traded back in here, because they wanted the ability to go get Devontae Smith. I think that is a shoe-in fit for Miami. Moving on.
That will make, by the way, Tua would have some fantastic pieces around him, but he may have some words for Devontae Smith when he comes into the locker room. After Devontae Smith said that he likes Matt Jones better than him.
Hey, Mack Jones won him the Heisman. What can he say?
I know. Yeah, you can't not say that.
All right, now number 7. We are going to the 7th pick in the draft. We are going to Detroit. Reed, who's the pick?
With the 7th pick, brother, the Detroit Lions select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU. Jamar Chase, as we all know, sat out this past season, but Detroit, it doesn't matter. This guy's talented. He's fantastic. And what's his face? Joe Burrows is lobbying for him to go down to Cincy. I don't think that'll happen. They have to get him some protection. But here, the Lions lost Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones this offseason. They need to replenish. They need to give Jared Goff some weapons if they want to do anything with Jared Goff whatsoever. So they're going to go out there and they're going to get him a very, very good wide receiver, arguably the best wide receiver in this draft. I still like Devontae Smith the best, but Jamar Chase is right up there with him. So I think that this is a perfect fit for them, and the Lions would be beside themselves.
That's a great pick for them. Like you said, they lost Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones. You need to upgrade that wide receiving core. Jamar Chase being arguably the best wide receiver in the class. Great pick for them. Now the 8th pick, going to the Carolina Panthers. We have our fan submission, Tony Shivers, big fan of the show. Let's listen to the pick.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Tony Shivers here. With the 8th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State. I feel going into their second year, Matt Rule and Brady are going to go ahead and select a quarterback in this draft if the board falls like it's playing out here. And they win either way. No one's expecting the Panthers to do anything this year. So if they start them right away and just take their lumps, that's fine. Or they still have their caretaker type quarterback in Bridgewater there. So he could sit for most of the year or however long they want, and they still win. So that's the way I feel like Carolina would be headed. All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, so Tony Shivers selects Trey Lance going to the Carolina Panthers. That makes a lot of sense in my opinion. It's a great pick by Carolina. Matt Rule gets his quarterback of the future, like Tony had said. It's a slam dunk selection from them. Now we're going to the 9th pick in the draft with the Denver Broncos. Looks like 3 quarterbacks are off the board. Hall, what are we doing with Denver? Are they going quarterback?
Well, just like with Carolina, they get their dream scenario where they don't got to trade up. They don't got to give crazy stuff away. They just get their guy to drop to them. At number 8 in Trey Lance, same thing happens for the Denver Broncos. They get their guy to drop to them. Obviously, they need a quarterback. They do not believe in Drew Lock anymore. So the number 9 pick, I got them taking Mack Jones. Like I said, led college football. We're throwing the ball to the college football's Heisman last year in Devontae Smith. Leading all time in completion percentage in college football history. I think it was like 77% or somewhere around there. Great arm, great timing guy. So yeah, tall in the pocket, not really athletic like you would want in the new age of quarterbacks coming to the NFL. But when you're a guy that can throw with anticipation and timing, and you know the offense in and out, because the thing about Mack Jones everyone says is from the moment he walked into Alabama, he knew he wasn't going to be the guy. So he just learned the playbook in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. So when he stepped in, it was literally just like he could do everything with his eyes closed. So if you got a guy like that's going to go in every day and study like that, I think that Denver finally finds their guy. He has some great weapons out there in Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Hamlin out the slot. So I just think that if they can get that defense back on par and Mack Jones turns out to what everyone thinks he could be, Denver will be right back in the mix in the West.
Yeah. Remember how I said Amon-Ra St. Brown had a perfect body? Mack Jones is the exact opposite.
Yeah, I've said it many times. Mack Jones going to an offense with weapons already supplied would be the best fit for him. Denver would be a great fit for him. Now moving on to the Dallas Overrateds. Oh, what are they going to select? With the number 10 pick in the draft, they are going to select Patrick Surtain, the second quarterback from Alabama, sitting at 6'2", 202 pounds, 32 tackles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, and 10 pass breakups in 13 games this season. Patrick Surtain is going to that secondary that needs much needed help that we have already elaborated on. Now moving on to our another NFC East rival with the 11th pick. The New York Giants are being selected by Michael Reed.
They're going to go Micah Parsons, linebacker from Penn State. And if you look at it, it really kind of just makes sense. I think they would also be excited if he fell down. If you look at the Giants roster, they kind of have somebody who can get excited about at just about every position group. The defensive line, the secondary, offensive line, wide receiver now, running back, quarterback, if you like Daniel Jones, but they don't have anybody at linebacker. They haven't had a linebacker in a while to really get excited about. Micah Parsons is the best linebacker in this draft. Micah Parsons, I know he has his character issues, whatever. He's good. He would really, and I would be so upset if they did this because he would really push this defense over the top.
Yeah, him and Joe Judge would get along great. Now, let's move on to our 12th pick in the draft, which is a fan selection by Scott Hartley, picking for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see what Scott thinks they're going to do.
Hey guys, Scott Hartley here. Thank you for having me on in this mock draft. So with pick 12, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, Alabama. It's a position of need for the Eagles, having a deep threat. Wide receiver 1, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the draft. He's got exceptional hands, can high point the catch. He's a great route runner. They say speed kills, and the Philadelphia Eagles get an exceptional wide receiver.
All right, we just heard from Scott Hartley. He selected Jalen Waddle to the Philadelphia Eagles. They need wide receiver help. They lost a lot of guys this year, and new head coach under helm. They need to get some weapons for Jalen Hurts. It's a great selection and great fan, Scott Hartley. Thank you so much for that, yes. Scott. Now, moving on, let's go to the Chargers, the LA Chargers, and we're going to go with Hall with the pick. What are they doing at 13, sir?
Well, same kind of scenario with Cincinnati Bengals. They have a second-year quarterback coming in, the guy that won Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. That's my fantasy quarterback. I got them taking another pass protector for them. I got them taking Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle from Northwestern. This is a guy that comes in at Dan Jeremiah's top 50 at number 7 on the list. So obviously, if you're a number 7, you're in the top 10 as a lineman, you're doing great things. You're definitely a great prospect. He's an athletic guy, ran a 4.88 40 at his pro day, and coming in at 6'4", 304 pounds. That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ridiculous. So he had a
Paris Ford.
33-inch reach is with his arm, so he can definitely get out there, get his hands on the defensive ends. Can definitely play left tackle if a team needs to play right tackle. That was really, really crazy. That was
a glitch in the matrix. Whoa, that was we did that exactly the same.
That was crazy. It's like, whoa.
that was the generic.
If you guys aren't watching, me and Reed just took a sip of our drinks at the exact same time.
I'm surprised I didn't freeze up like.
That was a generic playable character.
Right.
All right. Are you done with this?
Rashawn Slater at number, what is that?
13.
Number 13. Yeah.
To the Chargers. That's a great pick for them. They need to get some protection for Justin Herbert. Let's move on to the 14th pick in the draft, the Minnesota Vikings. They are going to select Elijah Vera Tucker, the guard/tackle out of USC. This supplies them with the inner guard, the inner offensive line help that they need, but also somebody that could step in and play tackle for them at any time based on any injury. They need to get some more protection for Kirk Cousins. Plus, they need to have a road grader for pushing out of the way for Dalvin Cook and continue having success to the ground. This is a shoe-in, great fit for the Minnesota Vikings, getting a great lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker, sitting at 6'4", 315 pounds. Solid pick. Now let's move to number 15 with Reed with the New England Patriots.
Oh, so the New England Patriots. It's no surprise Patriots want to take a quarterback. But since we're not doing trade-ups, it's going to be impossible for them to get one right here. So what they're going to do is they're going to address the cornerback position by taking South Carolina's J.C. Horn. Some people feel he's the best cornerback in this class. He's super athletic. And I know people are saying, but they have Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson. Well, they're not going to be there too much longer. There's rumors Stephon Gilmore might be out of there before this season starts. Regardless, he's out of there after this 2021, I believe, is when his contract is up. Same with J.C. Jackson. He could be gone. They need to get somebody. I mean, these teams in the AFC East have really caught up to New England, it appears. So they need to help lock down that defense. At least have a good defense before you get a quarterback. That way you can help out your quarterback. So I'm going to say J.C. Horn, who's one of my favorite cornerbacks in this draft. He is my favorite.
Yeah, pairing him with Kyle Duggar would be absolutely disgusting. I know Bill Belichick would be doing backflips for that.
Yeah.
Now with the
especially with all those opt-in, opt-outs coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
And now with the 16th pick, we have a fan submission from a big fan of ours, Florida Skins fan Sean, having the pick for us. Let's go down to Florida.
Hey everybody, this is Sean, better known as Florida Skins fan for life, sitting here in my house in Arizona, also better known as Florida. I am selecting 16th for the Burgundy Zone's mock draft. My selection representing the Arizona Cardinals, I am taking Caleb Farley, cornerback, Virginia Tech. Hail to the Washington football team.
All right, that was a great pick from Sean with Caleb Farley, a big surprise pick, especially after that back injury that was being reported. Going to the Arizona Cardinals, they get much relieved help after losing out on Patrick Peterson to the Minnesota Vikings. Great pick from Sean. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good
now,
job, Sean.
With the 17th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders. What are they going to do here, Hall?
The Raiders are very, very, very depleted on defense. They've been depleted on defense pretty much ever since they got rid of Khalil Mack. But, I mean, obviously, who's the dude that came in, the white dude that plays for the defensive end?
Max Crosby,
yeah, out of Michigan State. He came in, pretty surprising rookie year. So I definitely think they got something there with him, but they need a lot more help on defense. Why not pick up a linebacker in JOK? The guy's been compared to Darwin James, can move all around the field. Great linebacker coverage linebacker. I did a breakdown on him a couple episodes back. I think I did. Yeah. But anyway, the Raiders, JOK on defense. He's definitely a John Gruden guy. And I think with the NFL regimen, he'll bulk up a little bit more and be able to take on those linebacker or the linemen a little bit harder. And he's a thumper anyway. So JOK to the Raiders.
I don't want to burst your bubble real fast, but Max Crosby, Max with 2 X's, went to Eastern Michigan.
No.
Not Michigan State.
It doesn't matter. Now, moving on to the 18th overall pick.
Google it.
With the Miami Dolphins, with their second first-round selection in this first round, who are they going to go with? 18th overall pick. They're going with the guy with probably one of the best names in this draft, Kwity Paye. Pay me that money. Sitting at 6'4", 272 pounds, 16 tackles, 2 sacks in 4 games, and he ran a 4.5 40. Sitting at that size, that's pretty impressive. Sitting at 6'4", 270 pounds. That dude can fly. Miami gets another edge rusher to kind of help their defense out. Brian Flores loves him some defense. Shoe-in fit for Miami there at 18. Now, to the pick of all picks. We all kind of conjoined with this 19th overall pick for the Washington football team. We discussed it based on what prospects were available. Reed, what is Washington doing at 19?
I'm changing it up on you guys.
No.
I'm taking Rashad I'm just kidding. No. We all decided we are going to go offensive tackle from Virginia Tech, Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw, they get themselves a fantastic left tackle for the next 10-plus years. They'll really solidify this offensive line. I know people are saying Cornelius Lucas played fantastic last year. He did. He was tremendous. Fantastic offensive tackle. However, you get a guy who's young, who can come in here, who can play right away, and who will really improve this team and only make them better and make Ryan Fitzpatrick's job easier.
Yes, and we love that pick. You know me, I'm a Hokie fan. I would absolutely love to see Darrisaw in the uniform. Great run blocker and somebody that could really help this running game get going. Now let's move on to Swift to Punish, who has the 20th pick in this draft for the Chicago Bears. Let's see what he has to say.
With the 20th pick in the NFL draft, the Chicago Bears select Zavon Collins. With the 20th pick.
All right, we just heard from Swift to Punish. Thank you so much, sir. A huge fan of our show. He picked Zavon Collins out of Tulsa, going to Chicago, getting some extra help next to Roquan Smith. That's a great selection from him.
Yeah.
Now, here comes Indy. The Carson Wentz team is here. Hall, what are they going to do? What are they going to do with this first-round pick?
Well, this is a team that's pretty stout on defense, pretty stout on the offensive line. Now, the one thing they're missing is that big body receiver on the outside. It's Kyle's favorite guy in the draft, his favorite prospect.
Love him.
Carson Wentz is soon to be number 1 target.
Yep.
Offensive rookie of the year, probably, most likely, almost. I'm just kidding. But seriously, though, Rashad Bateman at pick 21 to the Colts. Obviously, if you compare him up with T.Y. Hilton, who's coming back to the Colts.
And Michael Pittman.
And Michael Pittman Jr., who's up-and-coming receiver. I definitely think that that trio right there definitely solidifies their offense of the Jack Doyle, the tight end. Carson Wentz has another weapon to throw to. Maybe he gets back on his feet with Frank Wright.
Best weapons he's ever had, if that happens.
Exactly. Best weapons he's ever had. So if he can actually just be anywhere near Carson Wentz MVP season or alleged MVP season, I definitely think that the Colts are in the mix for the AFC contenders in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's a good pick from Indy. I would have gone a different way, but it's cool. Now moving.
What would you do, Kyle?
the 22nd pick. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock, and I am selecting Tevin Jenkins, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma State University, sitting at 6'6", 320 pounds. This senior is an absolute grader. Them losing out on Isaiah Wilson, they're not going to miss out on this guy. He's not going to be missing any time on the couch. He'd rather be playing football. Watch his film. All he does is truck people. He's a complete bulldozer. He loves him some pancakes. Tevin Jenkins to Tennessee, I think, is a shoe-in, and I think the AFC South is going to be petrified seeing Tevin Jenkins go into that already stout Tennessee offensive line with Derrick Henry running behind it. That's just going to be disgusting. Now, with the 23rd overall pick, the New York Jets, with their second selection in the first round, where are they going, Reed?
The New York Jets are going to address the edge rusher position, which has been a very, very tough position for them to fill over the last, decade or so, since the Sanchez days. They're going to go Azeez Ojulari, if that's how you say it. I don't know. All I know is the guy can play, and he's very athletic. They get their edge rusher. And the Jets, it's no secret, man. Now that Kyle gave them Kyle Pitts, they went out and they drafted Kyle Pitts to help Sam Darnold. Now they're going to kind of help this defense. Hopefully they can get some pressure on the quarterbacks in this AFC East division. And the Jets are trying to build a contender here.
Yes, and that'd be a great selection from them. Now moving on to the 24th overall pick is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we have a fan submission from Skinny. I love that name. Let's hear what he has to say.
Fourth pick in the Burgundy Zone 2021 mock draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Samuel Cosmi, offensive tackle, Texas.
All right, we just heard from Skinny. He picked Samuel Cosmi going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just lost out on Alejandro Villanueva. And so he's gone. So they get their replacement tackle there with Samuel Cosmi, who is somebody that is very underrated and has been talked about a lot by scouts being possibly a late first rounder. That's a shoe-in fit. I think personally, great pick from you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. Moving on to pick number 25. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock with Michael Hall.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to select another defensive guy, and they need some defensive help. Obviously, with taking Trevor Lawrence on the offensive side, they've got some weapons. They've got some good pieces on that side. So I got them going edge rusher with Greg Rousseau out of Miami. This is a guy that opted out in 2020, but decided to get ready for the draft coming up. Had his pro day a couple days ago or last week, whatever it was, and ran a 4.6 840, which is, again, crazy for a guy that size. In 2019, he had 15.5 sacks, 19.5 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. This is a guy that only played 2 years in Miami, but stood out both years, took an exponential jump from 18 to 19, would have probably took another greater jump from 19 to 20. So I definitely think that he's a guy on the rise, great first-round talent, and can definitely provide some edge help for the Jacksonville Jaguars there to try to rebuild that defense.
Yeah, and that's a great selection from them. Moving on to the 26th selection with the Cleveland Browns. Who are they going to take? I think they're going with Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle, 6'5", 310 pounds, 22 total tackles, 8 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles in 11 games last year. Look, they have a bunch going on with Myles Garrett, but they need help in the middle with that pass rushing because they can't just have Myles Garrett rushing on the edge. They are susceptible in the middle. This is a shoe-in pick for Cleveland, getting some much-needed help hurrying the quarterback from the middle of the interior. Now let's move on to Reed, 27th pick.
With the 27th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Jalen Phillips out of Miami. The Ravens, look, they've lost 2 edge rushers this year. They lost Yannick Ngakoue and Matthew Judon. They need a pass rush. I mean, so there's secret. Jalen Phillips had a fantastic pro day the other day, running a 4.56 at 6'5", 260 something, 254 or something like that. Just a fantastic athlete, and he really came on towards all this season. He's a transfer from UCLA. So he's somebody he's been around the block, but he's very athletic. He would fit in very well in this Baltimore defense, and they need edge rushers. So. Yeah.
That's a great selection. Now, moving on to the 28th pick for the New Orleans Saints, we're going to go with great friend of the podcast and huge fan, Tony Franchise. Let's hear what he has to say.
What's going on, fellas? And with the 28th pick of the NFL mock draft, I have the New Orleans Saints taking Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, University of Florida. One thing we know about, Sean Payton is that he likes weapons. And, they don't have Emmanuel Sanders, but if you put Kadarius Toney in this offense along with Kamara and Michael Thomas, that's going to be a problem. So, Kadarius Toney.
Great selection from Tony. Kadarius Toney picking Tony to go to the Saints. What a great selection that is. Sean Payton gets another weapon to be able to get some off of his already built offense there. And much needed help for Jameis Winston, who's going to really need to open up vertically. Kadarius Toney could do that right away. Great selection from Tony. Thank you. Let's go to Green Bay with the 29th overall pick. Michael Hall, what are the Pack doing?
Well, as everyone saw, the NFC title game, championship game, yes, against the Packers, or against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Green Bay played.
The play right before the half, Tom Brady to Scotty Miller killed them in the long run. Obviously, they lost by like 5 points. That was a game-breaking touchdown right before the half. So I know they brought back Kevin King on a 1-year deal, but they're going to need a little bit more help since he's only going to be there for one more year. And a guy like Greg Newsome II is a guy that can come in, possibly contribute from day one as far as not being a starter, but get some rotation time, and then eventually take over Kevin King's job, whether it be this season or the next. So I definitely think that Aaron Rodgers might be a little mad they didn't go receiver, but at the same time, as we just heard from we heard from Aniba, this is a really deep class, so they can definitely bounce back in the second round, get a legit receiver to go opposite DeVonta Smith. So at 29, they go defensive corner back, Greg Newsome II from Northwestern.
Yeah, and I will say, if Bateman does not go higher, I think Bateman to Green Bay is the best possible option for him, to be perfectly honest. Now moving to the 30th pick, the Buffalo Bills. I know they just signed Matt Breida, but I'm going with the 30th pick. They're taking Javonte Williams, the running back from North Carolina.
First running back off the board.
Sitting at 5'10", 220 pounds. Last year, he had 157 carries, 1,100 yards, 19 touchdowns, 25 receptions, 305 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They've spent high-value picks on Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. They have running backs, but Javonte Williams is an absolute warrior. And if you're going to put him in this offense, that's going to really expel Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. This kid is a monster. Absolutely, I cannot stress that enough. His film is incredible. Adding him to this offense is just going to elevate the Buffalo Bills even more. So let's move on to the 31st pick, the Kansas City Chiefs. Where are they going with, Reed?
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs and Dr. Fat Andy Reid are going to take offensive tackle from the University of Michigan, Jalen Mayfield. Jalen Mayfield is a fantastic athlete. Some of his tape is just incredible, especially him versus Chase Young. He did a very good job against Chase Young. He's played right tackle his entire career, but he has the athletic traits and just the ability when you watch him to really switch over to the left tackle position if you need him to. And it's no secret that the Chiefs need offensive tackles after they cut both Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. And I know they signed Joe Thuney to come in and play guard. They're going to need to get their offensive tackles on some very, very low deals on this rookie deal. So they're going to take Jalen Mayfield, who is no slouch, and he could end up being one of the better left tackles in this, or better offensive tackles in this draft.
Yeah, I could just see Sam Cosmi going there if he doesn't go higher.
Yep. That's who I would have taken if he was still in.
Now to finish up this mock draft, we have to go to a fan submission, and there's no one better that we can go to. Nobody. Than the Colonel. Let's hear what the Colonel thinks the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to do at 32. You saved the best for last.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. This is Mike, also known as the Colonel, Kyle's father-in-law. I'll keep this short and sweet. I know Tampa Bay's got a couple weaknesses in the defensive, offensive line. Also at outside linebacker, but I'm going to take Trevon Moehrig from Texas Christian at the 32nd pick, the best safety in the draft. I'd be surprised to see him slip out of the first round. Just my guess. You guys have a good one.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was like,
To finish up the first round, the Colonel takes Trayvon Moehrig, the safety from TCU, who everyone has talked about as the best safety in this class, arguably.
Imagine him and Winfield together.
Yeah, that is just disgusting. Tampa Bay secondary. Todd Bowles gets another weapon added to that secondary. Man, do they look like they could repeat with a roster like that.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone involved. Thank you to Mike Puckett. Thank you to Tony Shivers. Thank you, Scott Hartley. To Sean in Florida. Skins fan, we love you, brother. Swift to Punish. Thank you to Skin Skinny, Tony Franchise, and the Colonel, as of always. Thank you so much, everybody, for your fan questions. Burrows, we appreciate everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you guys on Thursday. Make sure you don't miss it, all right? I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
And I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching over to Geico.
That's a great one. All right,
No,
everybody.
it's not.
We'll see you on Thursday. Washington football. Hey! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.